So how is it like being Ariel since what?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, who would you be meeting? Wow. Um, I would say someone who's like very genuine, very caring, very family oriented. My family is everything to me.
oh,
Um, Very centered on my friends. Like I just love being with them. But I also love having my own space. Like I live alone. Um, and I love it. Like it's just good for me to just like have space for just for me. You know, like everything's curated for me. Everything's my own. A place where I can go relax and reset. You know, that's who you would be meeting.
I like that because a lot of women tend to focus more on every other person aside themselves. We don't tend to like, then we burn out and then we run out and then we're emotional excessively and everyone's like, whoa, where did that come from? And nobody knows that, I've been operating on low fuel. All this.
Yeah, you can't do that. It's like you have to find time for yourself, or else how can you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So like you have to find time for yourself to just like relax, reset before giving into or pouring into anyone else.
Yeah, I found that meditating like every morning before everybody else wakes up in the morning really helps me start my day. And God forbid I wake up after everybody. Oh my God, that's like I just go through the day, but it's not as refreshing as I woke up earlier than everybody. I
Yeah,
talk to myself. I can hear my own thoughts. It's like going on a date with myself kind of thing. So
yeah, yeah. I'm an early bird, so I get up pretty early every day, and it's just because I need that time, like before work. So I can't just get up and go. Like I have to get up. I have to like reset. I have to like. I'll come sit outside. I'll have a coffee. I'll have a tea, and then I'll come back inside. Like it has to be. I have to have that time in the morning for just to get myself together and figure out like what's happening in the day and prepare. Like I can't just get up and jump into something. Like I'll be in a bad mood for the whole day.
yes, I relate so much to that. That makes me feel like, are you one of those, all these motivational speakers? Literally, they say all successful people rise up by 4 a.m.
No, I think it's like there's 24 hours in a day. Like if you have to start your day at 2 p.m. and you work until midnight, then that's on you. For
Yeah.
me, I can't function that way. Like if I could, I'd rather wake up early and do something, like wake up and start working at 6 than to keep working at like 9 or 10 p.m. Like my brain does not function after a certain time.
Yeah, no, I'm curious. What's your typical day like? Let's say, keeping up
Like
with
like a
them.
work day, or like with no work.
Both.
Okay, so work day. Typically, I'm always like now being on the West Coast. A lot of my teams are on the East Coast, so I'll probably wake up at like 5:45 ish, and then I'll get out of my bed around like 6:30. I cannot get up unless the sun is up. It's like I cannot move unless I absolutely have to, and going to the gym or doing something. But like I cannot move until the sun is up. So once the sun comes up, then I'll like get ready, get dressed, I'll have some tea, whatever, and then I usually will start working around 8. I feel like waiting till 9, especially dealing with people on the East Coast, I don't want to have to like reach out to them and it's like their lunch, so it's like I'd rather get them like right before lunch if there's anything, so that way during their lunch I can start like doing whatever it is, so that way if we need to have a conversation after their lunch, it's already done, it's already prepared. And then typically I work until like, it depends, like some days are earlier than others, just again that factor of working with people on the East Coast. So let's say I work till like 4 or 5, and then usually I'll try and make my meals too. So like for lunch, I'm like the person that will take the hour. It doesn't matter if I'm working from home or not. Like at 12 p.m., I'm ready to eat and I'm ready to just like take an hour for myself. Like if there's a couple things happening, here and there, it doesn't matter. And then once work is over, I usually will just like sit outside. So like I said, living in LA, like every day is actually a pretty nice day. So once my work day is over, I'm immediately where I am right now, just like sitting outside. I have a nice view, so it's like I get to just like be present in the moment and be thankful and be grateful. Like that's why I love being out here. So I get to catch up with my family and like catch up with what's going on with my friends, and just time for me to say like, okay, I feel at peace. if I'm not working, I still will be up. I'll get out of my bed at like 7:30, like getting crazy. And then I'll do some cleaning. I feel like I'm always spot cleaning. Like there's always something that's out of place. Like I could not get it together. There's always multiple things that are out of place. So I'll do like my laundry. I'll like clean up a little bit. I have an office, so like I do not go in there unless I need like a charger or like something. But like I try and keep that space separate if I'm not working.
Yeah.
And then I usually will have like some errands to run. Like I gotta do a Target run. I gotta go to the grocery store. Do some of that stuff that I need to catch up on during the week. And then if it's like a weekend, I'll like order food. I'm trying really to stop ordering so much food because it is so expensive. But it's so convenient that I'm trying to stop that. So I'll go run some errands, come back, and just like chill. If it's like I'm meeting up with friends or something, typically we're more so like, oh, they'll come over here, or like I'll go to a friend's house, and I'll kind of chill, and then maybe go to dinner or something. But yeah, those are my it's all very mellow, very chill, like nothing too crazy.
I love that. That's quite nice. It helps you stay like in tune with your work.
Yeah.
You sound like someone who is very friend centric. Like quite important.
Yeah.
However, I've heard several people say it's quite difficult to make friends as adults. So, friends, did you come about them on your path, your career path, or these are people you grew up with, or you just went out and say, hi, I think we'll be good friends?
A lot of it is work. A lot of my friends are from work.
Yeah.
I've been blessed to work at places where it's like you meet people and you just click. You're with these people all the time, and they're the only ones who really understand what you're going through day in and day out. Like you can tell your partners, you can tell your family, like, okay, this is really annoying, but you have to break it down to like such a basic level that it's like it's much easier to tell someone you're working with, like, okay, this person asked me to do this, and they already know it's annoying, whereas like you have to explain to someone who doesn't understand. So a lot of my friends are people who are in like marketing and in tech who understand kind of like what my life is and understand that like, and a lot of my friends are transplants. Like being here in LA, there's a lot of transplants. So a lot of my friends are from New York. And I think that's just a factor of understanding like, okay, I'm going to be gone for 3 months out of the year, you know, on the East Coast with my family, or I'm going to be gone for work. Like it's just people who understand what I go through day in and day out. So a lot of my friends are from there. I still have a core group of friends from college who are just like my lifeline. People who just have known you since like you were a teenager and like understand at a base level who you are. So I think you have to have those. And then a couple friends from like high school and younger.
Nice. So how was it like growing up? I can hear New York, and did you grow up in New York, or did you migrate like myself, or how was it like growing up?
Yeah, born and raised in New York City in the Bronx. In the Bronx, New York. Three brothers. And then my mom, my dad, they're not together, but like we grew up together. And then I was in New York in the Bronx. I moved a lot of places, so this is going to be a journey. So I lived in the Bronx until I was 13. My parents split up, and then I lived in West Palm Beach, Florida. My mom's side of the family is from there, so I went to high school there. Okay. That was a culture shock for sure. Like going from being in like New York to like South Florida was insane. But I was there, and then went back to New York for my freshman year of college, and then quickly realized that like I was not supposed to be there at that time. I was too young, and I was just like acting a fool. So I was like, okay, I need to go away somewhere different. So I went to the University of Pittsburgh and really got to like meet people from different walks of life, you know, and like experience different things that I never thought I would experience before. And then after that, went back to the city and like started back there until I moved. I was like working agency side and moved to London for a year, and then came back. Yeah, and then came back to LA. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. I never picked you out to like you've ever been to like work fully in London.
Yeah,
I was in London because I think the accent is one thing that is quite very different.
No, so I think I've been obsessed with London since like the Spice Girls. Like that was like a whole new world for me. So I always wanted to go, and so then I finally went. And like I think it had to be October 2015, I would say,
Yeah.
and or 2016, and it just like I don't know. It just like there are places you go and it just feels normal. Like it just felt like I could adjust here pretty well. And so then I started going like twice a year. And
Mm,
then working in the agency, I was lucky enough that they needed someone there and I wanted to go.
mm,
And so they sent me there and it was incredible. Like I loved it. It's really hard though, you know, to live your life. I think working abroad is incredible and I would recommend it to everyone. But it's
mm.
hard because the salaries are different, and you have to kind of live life on two different continents essentially, and that's really difficult. And you're far from your family and all these things, but it was incredible. And I think I would be open to going back with the right opportunity, but it's just a lot of factors on that.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. But I'm glad you
Mhm.
had a London experience.
Yeah,
So,
I loved it. Yeah, and I got to meet like my roommates when I lived there. I loved them to death. Like, would if they were like, okay, we're all gonna move back into a house together, I'd be like, all right, yeah, let's do it. Like, I don't care, let's do it. I loved it so much.
oh, that's sweet. That's really nice. So, of all your experiences growing up, which one would you say stood out for you? And you'd say, oh, this is part of the reason why I am who I am today. For instance, quiz is like, oh my god, what kind of blanket question is that? Okay, for instance, some people growing up, they stood several hours in front of the mirror, just, acting and demonstrating and talking,
Mm-hmm.
and then they grew up to be, actresses or anything related to just speaking, public relations. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, if you're really passionate about marketing, because when you say you wake up in the morning, I was thinking you say I take my phone and I go through social media and I see.
Oh, I do. Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So,
Mm-hmm.
what is that an experience you say stood out strongly for you growing up?
I think it's just like growing up 33. So once I got like, I knew. So I feel like people in my age range, like we had life without tech, and we had life kind of deep into tech and
Mm,
social media. So I
yeah.
feel like growing up in that era and being like super into like the AIM chats and the message boards and like all these things and just like connecting with people who live in different states and live in different countries and live completely different lives. Like I got so into that and it's something that I enjoyed, like building connections with people that I never would have met just like walking around New York City.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that is what put me on this path, like
Okay.
leaning so heavily into that and wanting to know like, okay, what's the newest apps, like what's the newest things that people are doing online. That is really what put me on the path. So I would say that time in my life, like the age of like the years probably like late 99ish to like 2004 is when I first was like, okay. And I'm like preteen teenager at that point, so it's like leaning really heavily into that. And
Mm,
then again around that like MySpace, Facebook era of like the 2007 to 2010s ish
mm,
was iconic, and it was very different than how it is now. Like it still had that authenticity about it, and it
mm.
was so fun. Like it was so fun, and I feel like that's really what put me on the path.
Nice. Ah, interesting. And the evolution that has happened since
Yeah.
the early 2000s up until now. That's like 22 years after, so
Mhm.
well, it's not far fetched at all. So, did you study marketing in school, or what exactly did you do? Or
Yeah,
you?
so in college, I studied broadcast communications. So my dream was to be a sports reporter. Like that was what I wanted to do.
Wow.
Um, yeah, my family's super into sports. myself included. And so that's what I wanted to do. I watch ESPN every day. I wanted to be a sports reporter so bad. I wanted to be on ESPN. I wanted to be courtside, like all these things. And then I needed an internship. And at that point, we were kind of studying social media in school, but it was heavier on like the traditional marketing and broadcast, you know, like writing scripts and journalism and all that thing. Like it was more so that factor. I think I had a social media class like maybe my junior year. My friends will like check that for me when they see this, but I think we had a social media class, but it was very like basic. Like it was all stuff we already knew. You know, like now people are taking like social media advertising classes, which was like not a thing when I was in school.
Okay. Interesting. I'm glad when you did in school quite related to what you're doing now, because some of us wasted years studying stuff that are not related at all. So ever since then, do you find a need to like constantly, you know, be aware of the growth in your industry, like in marketing, like you said just now? Some people actually studied ads, social media ads, and so many SEO, so many different aspects of marketing. So how do you stay abreast of all that changing field every time? I know.
Yeah, I think it's just like staying on top of what's going on. Like, and leading on your network. Like I have people who work in traditional marketing or who are just like general planners who kind of understand what's happening in each sense. So for me, as a social lead, I have to know what's going on. I have to lean on my partners who work at Facebooks and Twitters and Pinterest and etc. to let me know what they're seeing and let me know like what's happening on their platforms. And building those connections and just like reading the articles, like getting on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a really good resource for just like scrolling down and seeing what people are posting and seeing what work people are showcasing and building ideas off of that.
Yeah, that's very important. Do you ever feel like, or have you ever been in a situation where one of your friends is in a competing organization and then it's quite difficult to talk about work with them because it looks like intellectual properties are being exchanged? You've never been?
I mean, I have a ton of friends who work with competitors, like being at Facebook or being at Twitter and having people who work at Facebook or working agency side who understand, like people, I have friends who work in brand safety right now and they have to write articles about Twitter and write POVs about Twitter. Like, and if they have to shit on us, if they have to like, I think my friends would be so surprised that it took me this long to curse. So they'll be very proud of me. But like, and it's just life. It's just how it is. Like, at the end of the day, it's a job. Like my friends, like we're real life friends, job or not. That never gets in the way. It's like this is just something that pays me, and yes, I'm passionate about it, and I'm passionate about where I work. So like at the end of the day, like this is real life friendship, and we don't let anything get between us.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. So let's dig down into marketing itself. Yeah, drink some water. Drink water. So what exactly is marketing? What's being done in marketing? Imagine someone is watching you right now and they have no idea of what marketing entails. So can you enlighten us? What have you been up to for the past more than a decade now? I'm like, oh my god. So what exactly is marketing to you?
Yeah, I think marketing is so multifaceted that it's hard to pin down box it in because there's so many different aspects of it, right? Like I work in a subset of marketing, which is advertising, and then a subset of that is paid advertising, and then a subset of that is paid social media advertising. You know, that all leads up to marketing. But you have people who are doing like billboard ads, that's marketing. You have people who are doing just like if you put a bumper sticker on your car for like some business, that's marketing. So it's hard to put it in a box. Everything is marketing, pretty much. Like labels, if you want to speak very broadly, like all of that is marketing. Fonts, icons, that's all marketing. Um, our entire world is a huge bucket of marketing. Really, everything you see all day is marketing. You just don't know it, you know?
Yeah, and there's a way some brands are all over your faces, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
some that are quite subtle, and you wouldn't even know that you're being marketed to in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So, what kind of approach do you like best? Is it like direct marketing, or just the subtle one that you wouldn't even see coming, and you're just buying?
I
Yeah.
think it's a little bit of both.
Mm,
Like, obviously you have, if you're like, okay, I need to sell this water bottle, I'm
mm,
gonna come to you and I'm gonna say, Victoria, you
mm,
need this water bottle, and I'm gonna tell you why you need it. If it's like, I'm gonna show you how durable it is, I'm gonna show you how like easy it is to put in your pocketbook or easy to keep in your car.
mm,
um, or it can just be something where like, you're watching some movie or some show, and this water bottle just happens to be in every single scene. And
mm,
you're like, oh, I really like the shape of it, and I like the top, and it feels very modern, and it feels very sleek. I'm not even at that point telling you to buy it. You just happen to see it and you want it, you know? So, but both things work. It just depends on where that person is in their purchase cycle, really. It's like, you may not even need this, but you see it and you want it, you know? Or you may be like, oh, my water bottle just broke the other day, and you just happen to get on Instagram and see this hat. Then you're like, oh, wow, it's a sign. It's really probably not a sign. We just know that you're interested in water bottles and we want to sell you one.
nice. When you said water bottle just broke, I'm thinking of water breaking for a woman. Like, oh my god, if you do that, I don't know how people would take your water bottle. To get away. But anyway, that's quite good. That's quite good. So over the years, I'm quite sure that you've had like iconic advertisements that was your project or you were part of the project. So which one will you say is one you could share with us that really stood out? How did you get inspired? How did that go through? Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the most probably like fun I've had marketing campaigns is probably working on Spotify and doing like Spotify rap campaigns. Like
Mm,
their end of the year push where they're talking about like, you know, your top 5 artists, your top 5 like songs, etc. Working
mm,
on that was always really cool. Like, it's a lot of hard work and it's difficult, but seeing the results of it and seeing the creative is always incredible. And it's like, it's a team thing too. So it's like you're going through the trenches with like the people who work at the agency with you, the people who work at Spotify, the
mm,
people who work for Spotify or the agency in different markets, etc. Like, they're all coming together with this huge campaign.
mm,
And you get to work closely with partners, like understanding and going to Snapchat and saying like, what can we do on AR for this campaign? Going to Facebook and saying like, okay, what types of videos should we be producing? Is it static images? Should we do interactive games? Like, what should we be doing? Those are always really fun. I would say that stood out to me the most is like something where it feels like you're literally coming together with everyone to push this campaign. And
mm,
it's something that people worldwide are asking for
mm.
as soon as Q4 starts. People are asking about their rap. And you get to know what's coming before they do, you know, and seeing how it turns out. Like, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, I can't believe you've worked on that kind of project before because everybody I know are all waiting till the end of the year to see the raps and see, oh, so how many hours did I spend on this
Mm-hmm.
new song? How long did I? Yeah, it's quite brilliant to see the
Mm-hmm.
very brilliant. And I see a lot of other competitors and everybody trying to, adapt that. Even YouTube is trying to, do something similar to that.
Yeah, they can't touch it. And that's what you want. You want other brands to be emulating something you're doing,
Yeah.
but in a way where they still can't touch you. You
Mm,
know?
yeah. Yeah. Really nice. So now we have the good one that we are smiling about. Was there one? Was there one that went south? Like this is not what we. This is not what we expected. Or there's really not been any like that.
Nothing that went so bad that we were like, oh, shut it down immediately. Like, obviously we've had campaigns that like didn't perform in a way that we wanted them to,
Mm,
but nothing where it's like a brand safety issue or something where it's like, okay, we're in the news. Like, I've been lucky enough to avoid a lot of those, and knock on wood that I will not have to deal with that anytime soon.
One word just keeps coming to my mind, like genius, genius, genius. I want that. Have you not been for over 10 years? Because people are just fickle. People just like to pick out things that are not in the marketing flyer or something, and they just see what is not there, and they're like, "Oh my god, how can you say that about me?" I'm like, "It's not really about you." So
it happens all the time. Like, I run ads on social media. Like, we get trolled in comments. I worked at Facebook doing consumer marketing for them. So, like, running Facebook campaigns on Facebook. And, like, we had to deal with a ton of terrible comments. And it's just life. Like, you get to a point where you're like, people are going to say what they want to say, and all you can do is just ignore it or remove the comment. But you remove one comment, that's maybe 100 more. So let's generate more positivity than negativity.
So does that mean people working in advertisement have to have like strong mental health insulation? Because
absolutely. Like, you can't get super attached, like, where you're like, okay, I'm putting this ad out, and if people say negative things, I'm personally hurt about it, because then you shouldn't be putting it on social media. That's just the nature of it right now. Where it doesn't matter, like, you could put up the nicest thing about somebody, and you send it with broad targeting on Facebook, and someone's gonna say, like, well, I hate her sweater. And it's like, okay, like, what does that have to do with anything? But, like, there's just always negativity, unfortunately, in social.
I really want to dig into that. How do you like grow thick skin to what people are saying? It's like you carry out this campaign that is quite dear to your heart. You've thought about it for like weeks. You've done your research, your market research. You've brought in different people's opinion, and you know so well that you're talking facts. And yet comes someone that doesn't know anything, to be honest, but talking from a place of emotions, and they just run down the campaign like, you guys are so dumb, who wrote this, and say all the meanest things. And the painful part when trolls are trolling is that at times the good ones still see something, to learn from all that comment in the midst of the whole bad thing. So how do you develop like very thick skin to trolls even against your work?
At this point, it's so common, and you have to think about the scale too. So like, if you're putting out an ad and 3 million people see it, and there's 17 negative comments, like, more people are going to comment on negative stuff than positive. You're going to get a lot less people like, I love this ad. Like, even if they go and buy something off of it, like, they're not going to comment like, I love this so much that I bought something. Like, they're just going to buy it. So like, at the end of the day, what's more important to you? Someone actually buying it or someone commenting something negative? That does nothing. And if it's a lot of negative comments, then obviously you have to pay attention to that and like see what's happening. Like, maybe something's wrong. But and I read a lot of times, like, as I was like hands-on keyboard, like before I took more of like a lead role, I would look at the comments all the time, because I want to see, like, there could be something missing that you don't see. Like, oh, there's a period missing, or there's a word unspelled, or like something's incorrect. Like, so I'll read the comments for sure, and I encourage my teams to do that. But doing that, it makes you have thick skin, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like, it's about the ROI at the end of the day, or it's about like whatever your goal is.
Love it. So when you say team, how do you plan your team? How do you grow your team? What are the qualities you look out in people? When you're growing your team personally.
When I'm hiring, obviously, like, I look at the resume, I look at the experience, what experience do you have. I carry out my interviews as like very informal. Like, it's just like, okay, I read your resume, so like, I'm not gonna force you to take me through it. Tell me what's most important to you, and then I'll ask some questions. I want you to have the experience, obviously. I want you to be a team player. It's super important. I'm not really big on people with huge egos, because I feel like that causes a lot of conflict.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have someone with less experience who is more of a team player and who can work well with others, that maybe I need to lean more into training them, and that's okay, than deal with someone who has a lot of good experience but is a shitty person to work with. Because at the end of the day, one bad apple can definitely spoil a bunch when you are working on a team, especially in advertising. Because people in advertising have a lot of options. So it's like, why would I stay on a bad team with someone who I don't like and who's really bringing the team morale down when I could go somewhere else and be on a team where it feels like less stress when I come into work every day.
Wow, that sounds like culture is very important to you within the team.
1,000%.
Yeah, so how do you cultivate your culture around, especially assuming you were brought in on a team that has been formed already and you were directly involved in the team, picking who and who isn't on the team, and then you have like one bad person that is really difficult to work with. So how do you handle all that?
For me, your first part of the question about cultivating culture is being accessible, making sure that I'm showing up to my one-on-ones, making sure that I'm giving my team time to kind of talk to me. My one-on-ones are very informal, to the point where it's like we spend maybe 5 minutes talking about actual work and we spend like 25 minutes talking about whatever else is going on. Are you going on vacation? Where are you going? Because maybe I want to go. What's happening with your family? What's happening with, your life? Because I want to know if something is going on with you that's impacting your work, I would kind of know about that ahead of time, just from building relationships. I've been blessed to be on some great teams where I'm still close with a lot of people who I've managed, and that comes from cultivating culture and building relationships. This job, or whatever job we're in, it may not be forever. So, what can I help you with to get you ready for your next role? That is the approach that I take. And I think having that transparency with each other, I let my teams know all the time, okay, I don't feel like doing this today. I don't feel like being here. I would rather be in my bed asleep. And so that they feel comfortable saying the same thing, and that's okay. We're human at the end of the day. I don't expect them to be robots. I don't expect them to be just workers who are just sitting at the computer for 19 hours a day. If you have to go somewhere and do something, I'm going to tell you to do it, and we'll find the coverage for you to do that. So I think having that mentality of leading with empathy is important, and it helps foster the culture that will make your team successful. Coming into teams where things are already formed and people are already in place, you got to come in with just open ears and saying okay, tell me what's happening right now. What are you happy about? What are you not happy about? And then figuring out if I can do something about that. It may take me a couple weeks to figure it out as I get started in my new role, but I can keep that top of mind when I'm figuring out how to take my team to the next level.
Lovely. I love that. A leader that listens. What we mostly get, which is leaders that just, dish out things rather than listen to actually, understand and drive the necessary impact. So it's very important for leaders to actually listen. I love it. I really do. Okay. We've spoken about growing up, we've spoken about school, we've spoken about how you build your team. I'd like to talk about something that I don't know if you like to talk about it, and it's totally fine if you say, oh, I don't want to talk about that, Victoria. So I saw, talking to you started from a post I saw where you said, oh, my time at Twitter is done and it's quite sad to have to leave, but I have to. And I'm like, okay, I want to talk to this woman. So what happened? Where did you get that kind of, confidence, decision, courage to say, what, I don't like this culture and I think it's better if I move on now that the applause is the loudest? So I'll leave that to you to just say it the way you feel like it.
I think that it was a fairly easy decision for me. It was easy, but it was hard at the same time. I knew once I got the email where it's okay, you get to decide whether you want to stay or if you want to go. I knew immediately after I read that email that I wasn't going to stay.
Yeah.
Twitter was incredible. Like, the culture, the people, my role, my team, my leaders, incredible. But what was most important to me was flexibility. They understood that, like, okay, I'm gonna go to New York for 2 weeks, and I'm gonna be in a New York office. I'm gonna go to the LA office. The LA office, I live in like the Hollywood area, and the office is in Santa Monica. So that's like with no traffic, 30 minutes. But if you are leaving at like prime rush hour, it can be up to 2 hours, or an hour and a half, 2 hours. So like, and none of my team is here in LA. They're not, none of them are here. So it was like, I'm gonna drive all the way across LA to be in an office for 40 hours, deal with traffic, and then be on video the entire time. Like, that makes absolutely no sense to me. And so I was just like, yeah, like, I'm not gonna do it. And I talked to my team, and it wasn't any like peer pressure or anything. Like, and they all decided the same thing. Like, it just wasn't for us, and we knew that the culture was going to be very different. And it's like, you know, it's like it was kind of like you're sitting on the beach, and like you can see the storm coming directly at you, and you have to decide whether you're going to probably chance it and see if it passes, or if you're going to just like run as fast as possible. And that was just what I did. And I knew it would be difficult. Because, you know, there's a lot of the tech layoffs are happening right now. But I was like, look, I'm just going to bet on me and bet on my experience and see what happens.
That's it. I'm going to bet on me. I love it. I truly love that line, because many times we tend to like forget who we really are. And that's why I like to take everybody through the journey of, how did you start out? What happened? So I've had guests, you know, talk to me, and after that they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't even, you know, I've never really had time to reflect and how far I've come." So really, to take that kind of decision and say, you know what, no, I can't. This is not me. Is because you're really in tune with your person. Yeah,
100%. And my experience speaks for itself, and I'm not like the egotistical person unless I have to be. But I knew that I would figure it out. Like, I have the experience, and I have the passion, and I know what I'm doing, and I have to bet on that, and I have to bet on me.
That's nice. I'm betting on you. I am definitely going to bet on you 100 times. So, how do you usually set your career growth? For you, I know that even though you said, I'm leaving Twitter, you must have had a time like you sat down and you had a frank conversation with yourself and say, okay, if I'm going to do this, this is going to look, this is most likely going to be the ideal situation, and okay, the not so ideal situation. So how do you set your career paths, your goals? I know some things happen without us actually planning it, but there's always that, you know, guidance that we also set, especially as leaders. So how do you set your career goals?
It's hard because I feel like unless I'm forced to, I tend to not think about it. I'm at work, I'm like leaned in so heavily to my team and their growth and what they want, that if someone's like, what's next for you? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, I'm too busy to think about it. Like, I'm doing well at work. Like, my performance reviews are great. I'm going to just lean on that. And then, like, whatever opportunity comes, I'll know if it's for me or not. But in this moment where I get to kind of walk away from something and then I get to decide what I want to do next. For me, it was just a lot of reflection about, like, when did you feel most passionate and most happy at work? What were you doing? What were the spaces that you were in? Like, where were you? You know? And I got to really think about what I liked doing and what I wanted to be doing, and look for opportunities surrounding that.
That's really nice. So it's not like a certain type of predefined rules. It's more of the impact it will have on you as a person and your impact on the team. So that's
Yeah.
how you set out your career path.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, do I want to be managing? Do I want a big team? Do I want a small team? Do I not want to manage at all? And I know like what steps make sense in my career. You know, like going from leading a team to maybe doing like, oh, I don't manage anyone. Like, what is the opportunity in that? If there is, because sometimes it may feel like you're going backwards to go forward, which I felt like has happened to me multiple times. And backward is not negative in that sense, but it's like maybe I'm managing a team of 10 and then I go to Facebook and I'm not managing anyone and then I'm managing only 2 people, you know, like, and I'm doing very hands-on keyboard work, but then that springboards me into the Twitter role where I'm leading a team of like 10 to 12 people. So it's just like, you just have to figure out what makes sense for you career-wise. I think the money plays into it as well, like, how much money you want to be making also lets you know what roles you need to be in.
I like that, because many people tend to shy away from money talks. They're always like, oh, it's not about the money. But yeah, I know it shouldn't be only about the money,
right,
but the money should also be a driving force when used positively.
100%. And it's not like, for me, I do feel like obviously money is a big factor, but all money is not good money. You know, maybe I can go to this place and get a 50% pay increase, but the culture is shit. Okay, so I'm going to be there and get that money for a year if I can make it that long and then have to find something else. So the money definitely plays a factor, but you also have to really think about like what the culture is like and what you actually want to be doing.
Yeah, thank you for that. So you've worked in small teams and you've worked at teams, you've worked at Facebook, you've worked at Twitter, you've literally done the people's goals of organizations that we really like to work in. And some of us have always worked at startups, like smaller startups. So what is the big difference between, you know, managing teams in a smaller startup and, you know, in a bigger, they still call themselves startup, I don't understand that. But yeah, in bigger startups, so what's the difference?
For me, the smaller startups was more so, it taught me really like how to do more with less. Okay, you know, even you can compare Facebook and Twitter. Like Facebook, the HQ has like, I don't know, something ridiculous, like about like 15,000 plus people, and there was like 6,000 people at Twitter globally or something like that. And so Facebook is like, there's somebody who does everything. Like there's so many people who do the same thing you do, and something maybe that you were in charge of at your smaller startup, there's now 5 people who do that at this bigger role. So it's way more political. Like the politics play into that heavy. You get people from a lot of walks of life. I had like huge imposter syndrome at Facebook, working with people who went to like these huge business schools and like these huge undergrad schools, and were doing consulting and all these things that I didn't understand and didn't know about, and then would feel like, well, did I do something wrong, or like, did I misstep in a way? Like, am I supposed to be here? Like, do they know that I didn't do any of these things and that I don't understand what the hell half of these things mean? But and that was really tough for me. And then going to Twitter, and they're like, no, like, you belong here. And that's why you're here, and that's why we hired you. Like, that is very important. And so I feel like the middle ground of that is where I feel like is the best. Because you get a little bit of both. Like, you get to experience new things and people from different walks of life and whose journey is completely different than yours. But you also feel appreciative and not like you're lesser than, you know.
Yeah. So that makes me want to ask you, how do you handle imposter syndrome? Because I know a lot, including myself. I face imposter syndrome every day. I had to write a blog post to put down my thoughts to fully understand that especially when you work in tech, imposter syndrome is something that will come at you frequently or once in a while, but you face it. So how do you handle that?
My friends help me a lot
Mm.
with it, especially my friends who are in marketing and in tech,
Mm.
because they understand it. There's so many times where like I've gotten job opportunities and been like, are they talking to the wrong person? Like, is this the wrong email? Or did they email me by accident? Because why do they think that I can do this?
Mm.
But you read a job description and you're like, oh, I can do all of this.
Mm.
And I'm expected to do it and I know that I can.
Mm.
And then you also realize that advertising, especially social advertising, the industry is big, but it's small at the same time. So you run into so many people where you're like, you have no idea what you're doing, and here you are at one of the most senior levels. Like, why can't I do it? That is what I think has been driving me. It's like, why can't I do that? Like, if I wasn't supposed to be here, I would be here. Like, I come from the Bronx, like hybrid Bronx, where like, if I can get from there to here, then like, what can't I do?
That's so powerful. Just understanding that you're enough. You are enough. Yeah. And be willing to like. I think what I struggled with, most especially as a software engineer, is that I would never know everything, and accepting that was really tough starting out. But then I realized every day I needed to learn something new, understand that I wouldn't know everything tomorrow. I will still have to learn something new again. And as soon as I started to get comfortable around that truth, it helped me stay on track. Like, it's okay not to know how to do this, and it's okay to forget, and I can remind myself. And I also want to touch base quickly on the importance of association, because I keep hearing your friends. I'm giving them the award. Your friends. So, how do you choose your friends? How do you say, "Oh, this person is in my corner"? Because a lot of times you think someone is in your corner and they are far away from your corner. So, how do you choose your friends?
I feel like I have a really good intuition about people. I feel like within the first like 3 minutes of like meeting someone, I know whether or not I would be friends with them for real or not. For me, it's really just about like sense of humor. I think that's one thing. Like, all my friends are hilarious, and they're fun. Like, they're just fun to be around, and they understand like the importance of career. I think that's huge. Like, I have to be, if I'm friends with you, you have to be a career focused in some sort of way, because that's how I am. So I need you to understand that and be able to relate to it. People who travel or who are very similar to me in that way, where it's like, okay, we like to have a good time, we like to travel, we like to see different things, we like to experience different things. And choosing my friends is also like, a lot of my friends are like mutual friends. Like, I meet you, you know this person, so it's like they have that level of like validity that, okay, if I'm friends with you and you're friends with them, then they must be cool, And so a lot of that. And just within work, like I said, a lot of my friends are from work, so it's like I gravitate to people who are similar to me in that way, where it's like we're both, like I said, very career oriented and very just like passionate about what we do every day.
That's really nice. I had a friend once say that she was friends with this friend of ours, and then she saw another friend who she wasn't friend with. They've met on Twitter before, and she felt like we can never be friends because ideology and my ideology are very, very different. And then that our friend was friend with that person, she got a bit confused. But after like the dinner they had and everything, it was like, oh, okay, you're not that bad in person. So yeah, I kind of understand the mutual relationship thing.
And lack of drama. Like, for me, that's it. I have to deal with drama at work every day. So like, I don't want to deal with any drama after work. Like, if we're gonna go out, we're gonna go out. Everybody's in the same wavelength. If we're gonna chill, we're gonna have a good time. I don't get very rah-rah, So like, my friends are the same way.
Yeah.
Like very even keel. Like sometimes they will get a little out of pocket, but like that's just like normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, very just like chill. We're here to have a good time, and that's it.
So if one of your friends just start to act very out of the books, how do you deal with that? Do you call for communication? Like, you know what, let's have a sit down. I don't understand you. Or do
Yeah.
you in their space? Or how do you handle that?
I feel like it's very like if one of my friends is getting kind of out of pocket in a way that is abnormal for them, then there's something usually going on, which we already know about. And usually, like I have all my friends are very direct as well, so I think I'm very direct, and so it's very much like, okay, why are you doing that? Like, okay, I want you to stop doing that, and then explaining why. And then it's usually fine. But that rarely happens. Like all my friends are just very chill. Like we're here for a good time and not a long time, and that's just what we're doing. We're just gonna like enjoy it while we're here.
Super nice. Okay, so lastly, before you give us an advice for any kind of woman watching, is there something we should be looking out for in your next role? Do you have something planned? Do you have something to say, Victoria, watch out for me, I'm coming in hot? So yeah, or you're just like taking it slow and easy, which is also perfectly nice.
Yeah, so I have accepted a new role. I'm gonna wait to say what it is, but I'm very excited about it. Like, I was not expecting to come into the new year with something new at all. Like, I was just kind of like, oh, like we'll see what happens, you know.
Yeah.
But I think my posts on LinkedIn helped me a lot with discoverability. And I'm so happy that I did that because my next role is going to be a huge opportunity for me. I can't even, I'm still in shock that I even have the role. So I'm excited to announce it when I do. But I am ecstatic and I'm really happy. So definitely look out for what's next.
Yes! I can't wait! I really cannot wait. Honestly, I can't. Because many times when you want to do what your gut is telling you to do, there's this crippling fear that comes around and you're like, are you sure? How do you do this? If you do that, and you're like, oh, just shut up. And then you kind of do it. And I really, really like to see what evolves after making daring decisions. So that is why I'm super excited for you. I'm like, oh my god, yes.
Yes, I can't wait. I am like, I can't even, like I said, I still can't even believe it. And just like the women at the place that I'm going to who have supported me through the whole interview process, like it was one of the best experiences I've ever had, and I know that this role is going to be incredible and I can't wait to get started, so I'm excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's okay. Okay, so what will you say is your most valuable advice that you can give to women like myself, women in advertisements, women in tech generally? And Stories of Women in Tech is currently organizing a boot camp for more women, to get into tech, just to try to put non-tech and tech, meaning not technical and technical route. So, because a lot of women do not know that there's actually the non-technical route. In tech too, you don't necessarily code, although I would love you to code, but anyway, you don't have to code. But what would be your huge advice to a woman out there watching you right now, whether in marketing, advertising, or maybe not even in tech? Yeah,
I would say just like, I know a lot of it is like getting into tech, right? That's the hardest part. Once you're in, you're in. And that's just the nature of it. Like once you get a thing company, like the Facebook, Apple, you know what I mean? Once you get one of those on your resume, it's easier-ish to go into the different companies. That's just how it is. So don't be discouraged. That's number one. And also, another thing I would say is it's not all what it seems. I think it's very flashy. It's been very flashy. I think recently with the layoffs it hasn't been, but before that it was very flashy, and it's like, oh, I need to get in tech so I can make 6 figures, and I can do this and I can do that. And it does open a lot of doors for you, but it's not as easy as it sounds. There's a lot of politics in tech. A lot of people will honestly step over you to get to the next level. And you have to be prepared for that. You will make your 6 figures, but what comes with that is 24-hour availability. In some instances, not all, but like that line of you clock in and you clock out, that line gets very blurred when you're working in tech. And the more senior you get, the less work-life balance you have. So I know, you got the staff engineers who you see making $700K or $500K, but it's like, okay, that $500K comes with no life. And it's hard to kind of check out. And you feel like people don't understand you. So there's a lot of that comes with that. So like, of course, don't be discouraged, but just know that it's not all what it seems. Another piece of advice I would say is like, get your resume right. It doesn't have to be flashy. My resume looks like it was in Microsoft 1999. But make sure you're putting things in place. Like the language of it is so super important. What did you do and what was the impact? That is most important for your resume. Don't tell me that you were responsible for creating PowerPoints. Great. What does that mean? What was the impact of that project? That's super important for tech interviews as well. Like, what did you do and what was the impact? Focus on that, and you'll do great. But like I said, it's hard to get into. I understand that. If you see a role, apply for it within like 24 hours or less. Referrals are important too. Like, I know a lot of people do cold referrals, where they just will like reach out to someone and say, like, hey, I see you work at Twitter, can you refer me? So referrals are great, but I think the most important thing is just like having the experience and knowing how to speak to what you do and being confident in what you say as well. Especially if you have the experience, like don't go into an interview and feel like you have to be shy or feel like you have to be timid. Go in there and talk your shit. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. And a lot will come from that.
Gold. Pure gold. Thank you so much. Don't even know how thankful I am, but thank you for doing this even during the festive periods. I'm like, oh my god, I sprung that on you, and you've been gracious enough to say, okay, let's do this. So thank you so much for talking to us.
Well, of course.
And yeah, thank you. Yeah, we've got to get it. It's like an hour already.